Om Shanti. A very good evening to all the participants of our today's refreshing Sunday evening talk. I hope you all had a good weekend and are ready for our today's session. We have a very special session today and very special facilitators as well. So usually we invite very senior faculties and we listen to them. This time we have very young, bubbly, but very experienced Raj Yogis with us. So we would like to welcome Brother Rithvik and Sister Rishika to Hyderabad in general and specifically to Shanti Sarovar. Welcome, brother. Welcome, sister.
Om Shanti.
Om
Om
Shanti.
Shanti. A warm welcome and greetings of peace to everyone that has tuned in. So we'll start off by introducing ourselves. My name is Rishika.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Sister Loveneet. Sister Loveneet. And greetings of peace to everyone. My name is Rithvik.
So we want to begin by telling you a little bit about ourselves so you can get to know us and so you can understand us. So my name is Rishika, like I said, and I'm 19 years old. I'm in my third year of university studying maths and philosophy. It's a very interesting subject, also very challenging, which is why I like it. And a bit about my hobbies. So I love to do running, martial arts. I also do a little bit of reading and I like to meditate.
Wow. So I'm very quite similar. My name again is also Rithvik, and I'm going to my fourth year of university studying aero and astro engineering. You might be wondering what that's about. It's literally just about rockets, satellites, and also aeroplanes. And so I love to study things about the space and also things that fly. My hobbies also include running. Recent interest has been martial arts as well, due to Rishika joining.
We do it together.
Yes, so we do train together. And as well as that, also meditating as well. I really do like to have a bit of like my own focus time where I connect to myself and also connect to the Supreme. Yes.
So we'll be sharing about our meditation experiences later on in the session. But just so you guys get to know what kind of people we are and how meditation has helped different personalities like us. Now, yes, we're siblings, but we're quite different, wouldn't you say? So I would describe myself as quite an extrovert. When I was younger, I've always been wanting to, go around, talk to people. I've always been bubbly, been quite confident. And so meditation has helped me kind of calm down. And I'm going to share experiences with that later on. Rithvik, how has it helped you?
Well, we do have a sharing period after where we actually go through a meditation commentary. But more specifically for me, I think meditation is more like the internal works of what happens. So it's a bit like if you think of like a clock, like an actual clockwork mechanism. There's a lot of things happening on the inside, but on the outside, all we see is the moving hand that shifts every second. And also there's the hour hand, of course, and then the minute. So that's basically what meditation is for me. And I think, in fact, there are many applications of meditation. Okay, we've actually been hearing the word meditation so many times, but so a lot of my friends actually sometimes they get put off by the word, but little do they know that the word simply just means connection and what we connect to. And yes, so on the slide, we see today's topic, in fact, we're introducing is nurturing the self and how that links to meditation. Because in fact, as we say, meditation is connection. When we nurture the self, we're connecting to the self. And Rishika, would you like to elaborate on connection?
Yeah, sure. So we've come up with a few basic foundation points on why we need to nurture the self and why this is a very important topic in this day and age. So if we move on to the next slide. Okay, so the first point, so while I was thinking about this topic, we came up with the idea of an inner child. So it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter how old or young you are, you still have an inner child, okay? And the way we nurture ourselves needs to be how we would take care of a child. Now, we have a nephew who we take care of very nicely. And how kind are we to children? Are we rude to children?
No.
We're very nice. We give them hugs, we give them kisses. So how kind am I to myself? And do I give enough love to myself?
I think that's the main important one, isn't it, Rishika? It's self-love. And to self-love, we must think about, okay, so for example, me, sometimes I think I'm very good at giving advice to people, but how about giving advice to myself? And so then how about taking time for myself, giving myself time for my own progress? And how long do I spend doing things that I like? And so that's something to think about, actually.
Exactly. How long do I take time for myself? Now, I understand for those that are busy, like parents and teachers and all those that are working, even school students that have to study all the time, how can we take time for myself? So, we have some really interesting tips for you guys that are coming up soon. So, the last point is understanding my patterns. Now, this is the key to beginning a change. First, you need to understand and you have to realize that there has been a change. So, how often does my mental state change? How often do I go from sad to happy, to angry to calm? And so, that is the beginning. By noticing the change, then I can see and track it and then make a different change.
So that simply means being aware of the thoughts that are going through my mind. And that might sound, oh, that's very easy. I am very well aware of my thoughts. So that's something that I might think sometimes. But in fact, we can actually go deeper into what there is. It's like we all know how, okay, so in front of me, there's a table, and I see the table as a table. But if we look finer and deeper into it, we know that it's made up of smaller particles, smaller atoms, and smaller things. And this is what sometimes, say, like a science person would see when they see this kind of thing, as compared to a non-science person. They might just see, wow, it's just table, it's brown, has a nice sheet on it. But personally, after a science lesson, it helps me think, wow, there's so much more into what we see from these eyes. And so that is what we are going to go through right now. Is that right?
Yep. So we've told you about how meditation has helped us. Now we want to introduce you. Maybe there are people that have already done meditation, but this is a nice little opening of going into meditation, and that's just connection. So there are 3 parts that we're going to go through, and that's going to be inwards, outwards, inwards, upwards, and outwards.
Yes. Can we have some light music and the next slide, please? Thank you.
So while we get ready with the music, I'd like to request everyone to sit in a comfortable position. You may choose to close your eyes, but we usually do this open-eyed so you don't get distracted. And if you're holding anything, you can put it down and just take a deep breath and just try and relax your body. So you can focus on our voices as we listen to the music. So let's take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. Let's do it one more time. Take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. So now that my body is relaxed, let me start to look inwards. Let me visualize a bright, shining light in the middle of my forehead. It's bright light that never stops shining, filled with all the qualities of peace, happiness, love, and many more. So going inwards, let me see how my mental state is right now. And no matter how it is, I am the master. So let me now control. You can visualize a still ocean and calm any thoughts that come into your head. And still like the ocean, my entire body is now in peace.
From this peaceful state, I know that beyond this physical body of mine, I know that I am essentially a peaceful being, a point of energy that's sparkling within this vast universe. So let me, this eternal, sparkling being, fly upwards. And as I leave this physical realm, going past power. And so, as I feel really, really energized by this wonderful energy that I'm now taking, let me make my journey outwards. Because what happens
Now, once you're satisfied with your giving and sharing, you can slowly descend, slowly come down from this world of light, across the galaxies, across the solar system, and now coming into Earth. Now find your way to your houses, and then slowly enter back into the body. And once you've settled in your body, you should still feel that this light and this energy is within you. And in order to manifest this, we are going to now rub our hands and bring it into reality. We call this healing energy. And then you can rub it on your face, on your arms, on your legs, and then to the entire room. So I hope everyone is feeling powerful, but also peaceful. Okay. So now that you guys have had an experience, a little snippet of how we like to do meditation and how it was introduced to us, you can also write in the chat how this experience was for you. Maybe it was your first time, maybe it was your 50th time, but we'd still like to see how you guys felt. How was it going inward, going upward, and then going outwards? So if you can write on the chat, we can interact later on and then read the comments as well, because we would like to know. But now we'd like to do some experience sharing. So how has this meditation helped us as youngsters? So I'm still in the teenage. I mean, he's moved on. I'm still in the teenage and we're young adults. And how has this meditation helped us in our lives, in our daily lives? So I'd like to begin with where this experience began. So it started when we were younger. So we were actually born in India, Hyderabad. This is our home country. And it started with our grandma, actually. And she used to teach us how to meditate when we were younger. With all the kids, she would make us sit down and she would say, so you need to say this, I need to say that, and you just need to remember God. You just need to remember God. And we were like, okay, remembering God. Okay, done. And so there was 3 of us that we'd always sit down. That was our experience. And we didn't really understand what was going on, but it was fun. We would sit down and remember God. Okay. And so that was when we were younger. And then when we came to London, it was a little bit different. I mean, Mum would take us to the Brahma Kumari Center almost every week, every Friday, every Sunday. And it was still really very fun because we had our own group, okay? We'd still do meditation and still do all the other activities. Now, a lot of people think that meditation is for old people or people that have a lot of time on their hands. But that's not the case. Meditation is there to help you heal and there to reflect on yourself. And that's how I've used it. That's why you guys can see a picture of me holding a flower looking at the sunrise. So yes, this is the sunrise and not the sunset. This picture was taken in Germany. And also this was, again, for a meditation retreat that was taken by our center. So meditation and the Brahma Kumaris has given me a great opportunity to be creative and to explore many things in my life. Okay. And this picture is one of the many beautiful things. So for me, meditation is kind of like a sunrise. It's what gives me that hope, that light. It rises me up. Once I do meditation, I'm in that state. How high is the sun? Do you know how high the sun is? No, we don't know. I mean, we do, but not exactly.
It's very far away. Yeah.
It's very far away. So that's how my mental state is. That's how, that's the flying stage that we call it. That's how high I feel when I'm doing meditation. I feel very light and I feel very happy. And I'm also holding a flower there, as you guys can see. And that's because flowers are very precious to us. And that's also what meditation is for me. So I'd like to share one experience before I hand over. So a practical example that I've seen meditation working in is in a very incognito way. Incognito means behind the scenes, not like in actual talking and in situations, but behind the scenes. Okay. So I have a very good friend, and I've been friends with her for a very long time. But for some reason, we always have some clashes, right? In high school, you have different rumors going on, you have some clashes, and that's just how it is. That's just an experience. And so I would always think, like, why does this always happen to me? This is not fair. Like, I haven't done anything. I'm always so nice to everyone. And so one thing that someone told me to try out is to send good wishes and pure feelings to this person. So we used to sit for meditation 7 to 7:30 in the center, and we would do meditation. So I would think, really, like, I want to send good vibrations to this person, and I really hope that she does everything well, and she does good in the future, no hard feelings, even though not getting the same back, that's what we learn. And then slowly, when you give those pure feelings, so without any other intention, like, it's okay even if she doesn't change, I just want to make sure that there's no hard feelings between us, and you continue giving those good feelings, then slowly but surely the person changes. And that has really worked with me. And it's happened with not just one person, but also a couple of people. Sometimes I send good wishes to my brother as well. Sometimes, so we have that good bonding as well. And then to my whole family as well. So you can send those good wishes just like this through meditation. And that's my experience.
Wow. Can I just add something in there? So from what you just said, it reminds me of unconditional love. So it's like you're giving the person some love, and through that then you kind of tend to see a slight transformation in their behavior towards you. Isn't that right? So that's what happened with you, right, Rishika? Okay, so I guess it's my turn for experience sharing now. Well, for me, meditation, right? So if you guys remember, it's a bit like connection, right? So it is connection, in fact. And the visual you see in front of you, it's basically what goes through what happens in a part of me. So in terms of my mental state. So wherever I am, as a matter of fact, it could be that I'm in a busy exam, which is quite stressful. It could be that I'm outside and it's really busy, or I'm getting late to something, whether if it's to school, if it's to a class, if it's to a talk that I have to do or something like that. Then I just take a step back. And in one way, you can call it being like a detached observer. It's like I'm seeing, but I'm not really seeing, in the sense I'm not feeling the emotions of stress or like the negativity that could be going through my head. Like, oh no, what if I'm really late and like so, like it could be really bad. So it's like putting a full stop. And in fact, so this is what connecting to myself, or in fact, connecting to a higher being happens. And that's what happens to me, as a matter of fact, when I focus and just take a step back away from what we seem is reality. Because did you know that your thoughts also shape your reality? So it's like whatever you're thinking, even behind the scenes, as Rishka mentioned, incognito. So behind the scenes, meaning whatever I'm seeing in front of me or how I'm feeling on my face, what's happening behind my emotions. And sometimes it could be a lot. And that's too much overload. It's a bit like what happens when you put overload on a machine. It might not be able to.
It's gonna break.
Withstand. Yeah, it might not withstand the full load that you're putting on it. So then there's two things, right? You either decrease the load or you improve the capacity of the machine. Right. So in this case, I would like to decrease the load, because a lot of the times during the day, we have unnecessary load, right? That I don't need to think about. And
it's okay to have that, because I feel like that's a very natural thing that happens. But the main thing is that you notice it. People have load, but they don't realize they have.
Exactly. They only feel the effect of the load, but they need to identify the load and then think about, okay, how can I remove this out and to be lighter? So one example is, so during the day, what I in fact do, so we all, I'm sure many of us are used to making timetables. Okay, at this time, I will do this. I will study at this time, I'll play at this time, and then maybe I'll help my mom with chopping the vegetables at this time. But how often do we make a plan of, okay, this is my thinking time for this, or this is my time for being very happy, like very peaceful, like I'm untouchable. Like, you know, this moment, I'm just going to focus on this part of my mental health. And it's like, it's a bit like I'm tuning. It's like tuning an instrument before you play it. So it's like having that 5 or 10 minute period. So for me, it's meditating in the morning. And by the way, meditation doesn't just have to be sitting down. It could be while you're walking or even talking. And as I said, it's just connection. So having this connection with my core qualities and having this connection with God, as a matter of fact, so the divine energy, and just keeping that connection and just absorbing all of his amazing qualities and trying to bring that to myself. And what happens after that? Then I try to spread that vibration.
And you don't even have to try and spread it. It just
True.
automatically,
It's
people
true.
will realize that you have something different. You have a different vibration. Like when someone walks into the room, you don't have to look to see who it is. People will realize, oh, someone really welcoming, someone really nice has come in. Sometimes when you talk to somebody, you think, oh, they have a really warm, vibration. And that's because that's what goes through in their head. When I do meditation, if I practice being peaceful, then that's what people are going to feel.
Exactly. One example that I thought of actually, Rishika, was it's just like a light bulb. If a light bulb lights, it illuminates the whole room. And so you can see the room.
It lights up the whole room. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can tell that, okay, something's different from a light bulb to like an ordinary object, like just like a remote, for example. It's something different. It lights up, and so it makes me see. Just like that.
Gives off energy, right?
Exactly. It's giving off that energy because it contains light. Okay. It's heating. It's also heat, but we'll just stick with light for now. And so it's spreading that light as well. So that's kind of what I see meditation as. And I think it's definitely something exciting. Like, it does get you, so meditation can be addicting because it's like, wow, I've experienced utmost bliss and I've experienced utmost happiness, like just for myself. And it is true. Like, you don't have to go looking for happiness, right? Because you can create it within you. And literally doing meditation has helped me experience that, basically.
Wow, that's really cool. So, so now moving on to the next bit of what we'd like to show you guys is actually something very exciting. Okay, so no, it's not another meditation bit. It's now something quite interactive that we've been able to create during lockdown. Okay, so do you want to introduce what it is?
Yes, for sure. So next, we're actually going to have a very interesting, adventurous treasure hunt for all of you guys. And so this treasure hunt, in fact, it begins with a clue. And I'm sure like many of us do like treasure hunts. So it's like there's a clue and you have to read it, and then you have to think about where could the next clue be hidden. And it's like a riddle that we have to solve. And I think it's something that we can all learn from because it's quite important to be, I mean, personally, to be grateful for the little things in life, and that will keep you happy.
And just so with like you guys have some background knowledge, this was made during lockdown, during periods where we didn't have much to do. And so we got this opportunity to create a live recorded 1 hour program. And so this is a snippet of that and what we do in our free time, I guess.
Yep. So what Rishika is talking about is something that we do from the UK, which is called Family Meditation Hour. And so it's just an hour for families to get together and to just experience some fun, just learn a bit about meditation, and it's very useful for little children as well, because they also learn some tips and some facts about a lot of things. So without further ado, I guess.
So you guys can sit back, but also be attentive and try and figure out the clues.
Yes.
Who's excited? 'Cause I am. Whee! I'm free bird. All right, guys, let's do this. Finally, water.
I wonder where the clue is going to be. There's so much water.
Well, let's try looking in the water. Guys, I see something. Constantly feel free with water. Go around things that come in your way, and you realize. Okay, so due to some technological difficulties, you guys won't be able to see the treasure hunt just yet, but I think it will be coming up soon. So until then, we can do a quick Q&A, take a look at the chat. And see how everyone's feeling.
So do we currently have any questions from the chat? So we have one person saying that they're feeling amazing.
Okay, so to continue the conversation, so in this Q&A, we'd like to know how people are feeling about nurturing the self. Do you feel a little bit more confident about nurturing the self? Do you think you're going to now choose to take out more time? Yes, we're going to get to nurturing the self now. We're just waiting for the slide to come up. Okay, until then, shall we talk about how we nurture the self externally, and then we can start to look inward. So how do you nurture yourself externally?
Well, so I make sure that, so in terms of my physical body, I actually take a look at my diet, see how that is, because it's important to have a well-balanced diet, and also do regular exercise, even if it's as little as walking. So just walking and trying to, yes, of course, water as well. Water is a very big indicator.
Very important.
Of health as well. And so that's all it is really. So it's just a balance of actually trying to, I mean, to be honest, if I see like, I guess, a high calorie food, or like, so like, for example, chocolates, right? It's about like, for me, it's about like not trying to have too much.
Yeah, it's all about the balance.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if we start to look inwards as well, it's also to do with balance. So if we can get up the PowerPoint, and we can do the last slide with a very creative way of understanding how we're going to nurture the self. And it's to do with the word itself. So this is my favorite way of looking at things, and my favorite way of remembering things as well. So when you look at it, you just need to remember each letter of the word, right? So we'll do one letter each, explaining how we feel about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing we do when we have a child. So this is going to be based on nurturing myself, and then nurturing an imaginary child. So if you're a parent, or if you're a carer, then obviously this applies as well. But this is for nurturing myself as well. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to name the child. So no, I don't have a baby. I don't have to name that child, but let me name the inner child that's within me. Okay. So whatever I want to see, I'm going to keep that name in front of me. Okay, so if I keep on calling the child, oh, you're useless, or you're this and you're that, then that gives off that negative energy. But if I call my child, hey, Angel, come here. Hey, Angel, do you want to do this? Or, oh, hey, Happy. Or, you know, something like that. It could be very creative. And if you keep calling them names that you want to see from within them, then that's something that they're going to adapt. Now, sometimes mom calls me that as well. She calls me Devi, and I'm just like, why would you call me that? But that works, you know. It reminds you that this is who you want to be. And so my inner child, how do I want my inner child to be? I want my inner child to be very calm. So I'm going to name myself Calm for now. What about you, Rithvik?
Okay, so naming my inner child. So the inner self is what you're trying to say, right? I want to name my inner self peace, because when I'm peaceful, I can think clearly and I can actually get things done as a student. Or even if it's responding to certain situations, I can do it much better in a better way rather than just reacting. I can like respond in a peaceful and a more meaningful way, so that it doesn't really affect others in a very bad way, if that makes sense.
True. And you guys can write down in the chat as well, what would you name your inner child? So what do you want to see within yourself more? Rithvik, do you want to explain about what is unconditional love for those that don't know what unconditional means?
So the next letter is U for nurture, and that's unconditional love. And this word unconditional, it just means that it's never ending, basically. No matter what, it's never ending. And one example is what Rishika said earlier about her experience with her and a friend of hers. It's about giving this unconditional love to somebody no matter what they do. And so especially to a child, so we always take care of a little baby or a little child, and no, even if they like say drop something or whatever, we still give them love, and we try to teach them from like, oh, okay, so this is wrong and this is right, in whatever means necessary. And so in that sense, I think it's important to give this kind of love to the self, and so it becomes self-love and things or certain aspects, such as the past or like things that I've done before, and it's more about looking at and just loving the self, and this love in fact will start to heal anything that like say I've been holding on to, and so I can let go of this. And once I've let go of the past, for example, then I can kind of like see ahead and move on and do much better, right?
Yep, exactly. So this unconditional love is healing, because I'm accepting, and every other day, along with all my flaws, any mistakes that I've made, I'm still going to love myself, because you're not going to hate a child for breaking a plate, are you?
No, of course.
That would be too mean, right? So,
Yes.
So you can't hate yourself for anything in that sense. So let's move on to the next letter. That's R. So rise above situation. So Rithvik touched on this a little bit. Being a detached observant. This is what it's talking about. Being able to rise above the situation that you're in. Now, of course, this is going to come with some practice. You're not going to, be able to do it in 1 second. It's going to come step by step. Okay. So the first step is to remember that I am a higher being. I am a point of light. And these situations are all below me and I am above, not in the sense of status, but in the sense of a spiritual being. Okay. My state is not of what is going on in the situation, no matter what it is. My state is always above and beyond. This is something that my brother actually taught me. No matter what was going on in my life, he would say, you're above that. Like, you don't need to go down to that level. You need to stay in your own zone, your own level, where no one is going to reach you. And that's not ego or any sense of, oh, I am the best. It's just saying that no one can touch the way I feel. And that's rising above situations. And once you can do that, you'll be able to figure out how to deal with the situation. First thing is to rise above. Next thing, you can then see what I actually have to do. But if you haven't risen above the situation, still in the situation, your judgment will be clouded and you will take rash decisions. Now, this is fine because I've done it quite a lot of times. And it's sometimes you do take rash decisions. And this is something that you need to learn from. When any situation happens, you want to learn from it. And as we go through life, I think that's what I do. I wouldn't say I'm perfect in rising above situations yet, but I'm still processing and understanding, which is the first step, and going above and learning from it.
Can I just add to that for a second? So one thing I just want to say is, so when we see white light, right? We see it as white, but in fact, it's made up of literally 7 colors. And all these colors mixed together makes the white light. And no matter what this light does, okay, so if it's shining too bright in my face, or if it's like, whatever it's doing, for a fact, we know it's white light. And it's made up of 7 colors. And similarly, when I'm referring to the self, I've realized that I should not use such language like, oh, I cannot do so and so, or this, I'm finding it so hard, or I always find it hard to do this, or this is not for me, or like, oh, I am so weak in this subject. I am always weak in this subject. And these words, it's very important not to use these words, because when we say that firstly to the self, we are reinforcing that fact. And that is very difficult, because you're going deeper and deeper into the situation instead of rising above the situation. And so in this case, it's important to actually see beyond what is in front of us, in this case, like beyond situation, or the metaphysicalness that we see. And that is that we are a point of energy, right? We're a being. And what makes me is all these amazing qualities that I see in myself. And that's all that we ever need to think about. And then slowly, it's a bit like a camera. It's like when I'm looking at these flowers in front of me, and I look at these flower petals, my eyes zoom into the flower petals and I forget everything around it, for example. So it's a bit like that. Slowly and most definitely, you will forget your old habits or these bad habits that you're trying to get rid of, and soon develop amazing habits that you would like to have, or you would like to do, or something that you would like to learn. So that's something that I have experienced, especially when it comes to rising above situations.
Would you like to do the next letter?
Yeah, sure. The next letter, right? So teach from example, and I think it's very self-explanatory, because a lot of the times we put energy into speaking to people, into telling them, okay, maybe this is the way that this is right or this is wrong. Or if teaching a child, right? Like we say a lot of things, but as a matter of fact, one thing that's definitely bigger than speaking is actually being. It's that state of being as an example, that when someone sees, they're like, oh wow, I really want to be like this person. And similarly for a child, or especially the inner child, right? And also, like, I've seen it many times in like a friend groups or like whatever, right? It's just being. Just by being, you can be an example, and it's literally the fastest way to transfer whatever that you have in mind.
Teach, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like actions speak louder than words. Mm-hmm. So what people see is what they will learn. And even little kids who are even more prone to learning, if you teach them, if you tell them, don't say bad words, okay, that's a way of just saying. But if they see you saying bad words, then that's not really being an example. When people see that you're being peaceful, that you're being calm, that you use amazing words, then that's what they're going to learn. And that's what you want to nurture as well. So I guess this is more for teaching people around you if you want people to change. But first, you want to start from within. You want to be the example. So the next letter is U. We'll just go through this a little bit faster so we have time for Q&A. So U is understand while being in their shoes. Now, nurturing is very much about understanding as well. How do I nurture a child? I need to make sure I know how they feel. Okay. So being a parent, I'm not a parent, but if I was a parent, I need to know how my child is feeling. So how do I feel? Sometimes it's very important to clarify that. How do I feel about certain things? So let me sit and just sort out my feelings. Don't make a mess of it. Just segregate it all. Just try and sort that out a little bit. And then once you understand how you feel, then you can do something about it. So the first thing comes in from having a sort of clarity. Okay. So now if we kind of go on to the other side of, if you're a parent, then you want to make sure you know how your child is feeling. Okay. And then you can know what action you need to take. Rithvik, should I talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that actually. Understanding while being in their shoes means that there is no sense of comparison. And it's quite important, because we kind of like, we compare the self to so many things during the day, because of course we would like to be better in some things, right? And so that's what I wanted to add in, that it removes the element of comparison. And instead of feeling, or even if it's some sense of sympathy there, it removes that, and you start to empathize, which means you actually kind of understand what's happening to a certain individual, or in fact, in this case, to the self, what's actually happening to me.
Okay, yeah. So the next letter is repeat. So I found repeat but what it's meant to show is practice. Okay. So whatever you're trying to do with a child or whatever you're trying to nurture, you want to practice nurturing. Okay. You want to repeat this every single day. Okay. Because that's how you get better at things. That's how you get used to things, when you are exposed to it, and when you do it again and again. And I don't think there's much you can say about repetition. And so the last bit is exercise and rest. So exercise. So this, we can look at it physically, but also mentally, right? So what is the quality of the mind? What is the quality of the mind? It's to think, it's to exercise. It's always thinking, right? And so that's the exercise that we do every single day, right? And we're continuously exercising. So
yeah, and as a matter of fact, meditation is an exercise of the mind, isn't it, Rishika? Because it's like you're finding better ways to place your thoughts and to have certain thoughts at certain moments in time.
So you're making your own pattern instead of following the pattern of your mind. Okay, so that's the next step. So you saw in the previous views before, in the third slide, understand the pattern, then make your own pattern. So that's the exercise that we are trying to do. That's what we want to do, and to nurture into the mind.
I have one question, Rishika. What do you mean by understand the pattern? The pattern of what exactly?
Okay, so that's a good question. So the pattern that I want to see is, how much am I fluctuating? What kind of thoughts am I having throughout the day? So if I look at my thoughts for today, so maybe I'm looking at my patterns as they happen, or I only have time before I sleep to see what my patterns are looking like. So throughout the day, how many negative thoughts am I getting? How many lazy thoughts am I getting? So it's being able to see what kind of situation makes me feel like this. Okay. And then being able to see, oh, when my brother does this, I feel this. And so this is how I think. But in reality, I don't need to think like that because I'm already this. Okay. So that's an example that you can think of. And there's a very important word on there, which is rest. Okay. So I know there's quite a few workaholics out there, which means they continuously want to do work and they want to do something, but the main thing that we all need is rest. So do you want to talk a little bit about rest?
Yeah, I think resting, I mean, it's literally another word for healing, or like rejuvenating, or like recollecting the energy that I've actually expended. It's a bit like your I would just take the example of a laptop, for example. If it's not, charging already, I'm using it, I'm expending the energy that it has. And then after, it needs to rest, like it needs to charge. And I need to give
otherwise
it some time.
It's not going to work properly. It's going to get really hot.
So that's the other thing. If I charge it and I use it, that's okay. But I can't use it continuously for a very, very, very long time because it will get hot and it needs to take a break. So that's one example of a laptop, and just bringing that to the mind as well. I think it's very important to just tell the self, okay, I am not going to think about so-and-so or some event, situation, whatever. If it's the future or the past, I won't think about it right now. I'll think about it later. Let me connect to myself and let me actually meditate. So actually, this is what happens in my head. So I tell myself, okay, instead of thinking about certain thing like continuously and building up some sort of subtle anxiety, you can in fact just tell yourself to think about it later. And it's not so hard to do, isn't it, Rishika?
Yeah, to get rid of that feeling of anxiety is a different thing, but being able to connect to yourself. So one thing that you could do is speak to yourself. So that might sound weird to some people, but it's very good to speak to yourself, because a lot of these times in lockdown, some people might be quarantining alone. It's not lockdown right now, but you might be by yourself. You might be feeling alone. So who's going to come to you? Yourself. Okay. So first it's going to be yourself, and then you can reach out once you've connected with yourself. You can reach upwards. You can reach up to a divine. Okay.
See, what I see, the pattern right here is you're being in the present. That's all it is really. And staying in the present actually eliminates all of these other unnecessary thoughts, because most of our thoughts, if you think about it, lie in the future or also the past, and the present, here and there sometimes, right? And so that's all it is. It's very simple, right? And even meditation is so simple. Like every single one of you viewing this right now is actually meditating in a way, because you're connecting to Zoom.
You're focusing.
Exactly. And if you're actually tuning in from India, you're probably thinking, oh, what am I going to have for dinner today? Okay, after this talk, what shall I do? Who should I speak to? What other things do I have to do? That kind of thing. You see, just this aspect, you are in fact slightly into the future, or maybe into the past. Oh, I skipped lunch today. Yeah, I didn't really eat properly. I feel I didn't drink much water. So it's slightly into the past, but also into the present. Okay, cool. So if so, that basically gives you the main idea of staying in the present.
Yep. So to just summarize the whole nurturing process, so we've given you quite a few things about it. I think it'll be best if we can do Q&A now.
Yeah. So the
We
thing
can
is,
play
the
that
treasure hunt is 15 minutes
time.
long.
Yeah.
So
I think that would
instead of treasure hunt, we can do some
over.
Q&A. And if people would like to stay longer, the treasure hunt video will be played after. And if not, you will catch it surely another time.
Yeah, I'm sure we can play it maybe next week or the week after. So now we'd like to open the Zoom to maybe the chat. We can also take in through videos, or you can turn on your mics, I think, if you request for the...
Yes. So would anyone like to say anything,
Yep.
or any questions or any sharings?
Yeah. Okay, so great. You guys can now unmute, and you can
just speak.
Yeah, you can speak. Yeah, you can.
I can see somebody raising their hand. You're actually welcome to just unmute.
Yeah, you can
just
unmute.
Speak. Please do. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Rishika and Rithvik, that was a wonderful session. Thank you so much for taking us through that journey. It's really, I enjoyed thoroughly this session. Thank you so much. Yeah, as you said that it's okay. We are really good to stay back to go through that, the hunter video, treasure hunter video. I'm really fine to extend my time if you are okay. But my question here is that since quite a long time I have been trying to meditate early in the morning. Particularly, somehow I could manage to wake up early in the morning just to spend time with myself. But what happened is that what I am noticing is that instead of being quiet, what kind of thoughts that I am generating is that mostly about what to do in the coming day. When I sit for meditation, I am getting thoughts like a lot of works that I have to do. That's not my actual intention behind of sitting, but my purpose of sitting is that to forget myself and to be in a position to connect to Supreme God, kind of stuff I wanted to. But the experience that I'm getting is altogether content. I think you get my point, my question, right?
Yeah, so I kind of understand the question. So is the question, so you're trying to meditate and your intention is to just step away from everything and just to connect to yourself and the divine. But in fact, you're thinking and you're planning about what you want to do for the whole day. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Exactly right. So in fact, yeah. So even I have have these thoughts as well. And what I do actually, first, I just think about okay, so yeah, I have the okay, yeah, so the question is written here. So in fact, what I do, I mean, maybe sometimes what I do the day before, like so the night before, impacts my morning. So in this sense, brother, I kind of recommend you to plan your day the night before, just so that in the morning you wake up feeling a little bit free. You don't wake up feeling, oh, I have to do so and so, but first let me meditate. But you see, the first thing that you just said is, the first thing that you just thought was, oh, I have to do so and so, right? I have to think about the day. But you see, if you do that the night before, slight briefly planning, I think you might wake up a little bit easier, feeling a bit more easy. So do try that out. And Rishika, would you like to say something?
Yeah. So when it comes to how much time we personally spend on meditation, so obviously we have been in India for quite some time, but at university, what our regular kind of schedule was, before we sleep, we do a little bit of meditation. So it doesn't have to be a very long period of time that you meditate for. It can just be for 2 minutes, for 3 minutes, even just 1 minute before you go to bed. Okay. And that's to wrap up the day. Okay. So that's when you can just tell Baba everything that's happened. Okay. Everything that's happened and everything that you want to see for the next day as well. Okay. So when you already have these thoughts the day before, the next day, like Rithvik said, you're going to have a little bit clearer plate. Okay.
Yeah.
You're
And
going
I
to
just want to
have
add one more thing, actually. So in terms of thoughts, when we have a lot of thoughts, actually, it helps to write. So sometimes what I do, okay, so I can write the things I need to do, right? But I write out my thoughts. Whatever's coming to my head, I just write it out. Because eventually I realize I don't really have anything more to think, because I'm constantly thinking about literally the one thing, which is what's happening in my day. And if I write it out, then why do I need to think more about it? Because I've written it. And so now writing, it can happen in many forms, but one main form that I write to, I mean, that I like to write is saying, dear God, right? And then just write whatever. And because it kind of helps, because in fact, what you're doing, you're just materializing, you're putting in front of you what's happening in here. And that can help you actually decrease the load, even the subtle load, which you don't even see, like the thoughts that you can't really see, or that you don't know that you're thinking, right? Because it's just happening. That will kind of decrease because you've actually put it in front of you, and that kind of helps. So there's various techniques that you can try. So do experiment writing. You can experiment playing a piece of instrumental music, or like a commentary, which you can actually just focus and listen to, because a guided commentaries really do help. There's many on YouTube, and I'm sure many that the centers that recommend by Sister Shivani and Sister Jayanti as well, which have actually helped me. So I do recommend going onto YouTube and just searching, making a brief search as well.
One last suggestion I would like to give is one technique that I use for
brother, Om
Yes.
Shanti. You
Om
have
Shanti.
to use neutral. One is unconditional love. Second, you understand while being and their shoes. Here I mean one person is having attachment, other brother is having detachment. The detachment brother is okay. Attachment brother, how to satisfy? How to convince him?
Right. Convince him what?
So it's more a sense how to make him experience detachment,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So then it comes on to the topic of literally being the example. As soon as he sees you being, so the person sees you being detached, brother, you might be thinking, oh, they could be a bit hurt, right? Because they're attached to maybe you or something. Then in that sense, it's more about trying to give them the experience of it. And I mean, one way I would do is just by talking to them about the benefits of being detached. And you should do it in a very subtle way, in the sense, because you do not want to maybe anger or maybe hurt the other person. So in a very subtle way, in the sense, maybe speaking about your core qualities, right? Who are you really? Are you really so-and-so of like profession, title, status, academic achievements, all of that? Or are you just really literally a point of sparkling being, like an energy, very beautiful point of energy, which is literally made up of happiness, peace, love, and all of the qualities. When I think of the qualities, I don't think of anything else, right? So, brother, I would say, try to help them, or to try to guide and focus them onto the aspect of qualities, because then they will forget about attachment.
No. He lost his father. I can't bring him back.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
bring him
exactly.
back. He's not able to understand.
Yeah,
It is a
I
part of
see.
life. It is
Exactly,
a part of
yeah.
life.
Exactly.
He's telling to bring back.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so
That is my
these
question to you. One brother
these
is
things.
detached. No problem. He's doing everything. The other brother is uncontrollable.
Exactly. So I think first step is to have the acceptance,
Both
and
are
then
in the same shoes, sir. Both are in the same shoes, brother, sister.
same shoes. I see. Okay, same
Same
shoes,
shoes.
but one person is detached, one person is attached.
Attached. Yes, correct.
I
He's not
understand.
able to follow.
Okay.
So I think the main thing you need to explain with is to explain with love. When you can explain to someone and give that unconditional love, then they will calm automatically. Okay. So when a baby is crying, do you continue shouting at them saying, no, you can't have this? Or are you going to give them something else? You need to give them something else to hold on to, something else to love, and something to distract them. Okay. So certainly this is something that humans come to accept, but losing the loss of a loved one is a very emotional thing. And so you need to give them more love. if they're even more attached, you need to keep explaining them the same thing again. And it might sound boring, but that's how people learn. When you repeat the same thing again and again with love, that's when it sits in their mind. And I can say this for sure, because that's what my mother does for me. That's what my mom and dad do for us. So when they explain things with love, like, you need to do this, and then this will happen. And I might not follow it. I won't follow it that day. I won't follow it for maybe years. But one day it's gonna definitely sit in my mind. So it's something that we need to be consistent with, and we need to do with unconditional love. And I hope that helps.
Yeah. And I mean,
Thank
so
you, brother.
they'll be missing that missing piece that they're missing. You will be helping them fill it in with love. And so eventually with love will soon come acceptance, and it will follow. So yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah. And one thing that I wanted to tell to Hussein Bhai is a last technique that I use when we're doing meditation. So I think there was a question on how much meditation we do as well. So at university, so obviously as students, we have quite a few lectures, meetings, seminars, and also a lot of coursework and workload quite a bit. As university students, we have quite a bit to do. So main thing that we do, the main meditation that I do at least, is whenever I wake up, I do at least 5 minutes of meditation. And then throughout the day, like my brother said, there's something called doing meditation while moving along. So this is called karma yoga. Okay. This is just being in remembrance and remembering that I am a peaceful being throughout it doesn't have to be the whole day, but just remembering it hourly, every 2 hours, and just bringing myself to that state. And then before I sleep as well, I always do meditation, making sure I have those positive and good vibrations in my room. And my brother always says, whenever he used to come to my room, he always feels very nice and very peaceful. So those are the benefits that you will get. And one way that I do this is through visualization. I visualize a light around me. I visualize a protection. I visualize peace. And for me, that peace is like a still ocean, like light. And that just spreads throughout my whole room, my whole dorm, everywhere around the world. And that's how I maintain that clear mind. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, and something similar with me as well. During the day, I have these jam moments, is what I like to call it. So it's just means just a minute. So I take just a minute for myself, and it could be literally just sitting down and maybe just listen to nature sounds, and then helping myself connect with myself, like my qualities, and of course to the divine. But also sometimes I like to play just a minute on YouTube. So if you guys can try search on YouTube, there are many just a minute provided by the Brahma Kumaris, and it's really, really useful. There's so many different topics. Like one could be a clear mind, one could be focusing on determination or cooperation. So one little quality, and there's plenty out there. And I think just these little things actually help me during the day as well. And just as Rishika said, I think mornings is a great way to start off your day by doing a bit of meditation, and of course also ending the day. And I also like writing. So sometimes I can't write with a pen and paper, but I write a letter to God or whoever I want to write to, right? So I just type it on my computer. And so that itself, I'm visualizing and I'm formatting whatever thoughts I have in front of me, and to help me.
And if you don't really like writing and typing and all, yeah. I myself, I'm not that great at it. You can express it in a different way. So there's many ways of
art,
taking out.
You can actually draw.
So yeah. I love doing art. I mean, it doesn't always turn out great, but it's just about expressing how you feel on a piece of paper. And even if you don't want to do any of that and you feel like, oh, this is too much for me, you can just talk. You can just talk. You could just talk it out loud. And that should also help. So to kind of just wrap up this whole nurturing the self, we've given you quite a lot to go home with. So we'll just touch up and summarize some of the key points that we've come up with. So we've been talking about all the positives of what happens when you nurture. But one of the key things that we need when we nurture is acceptance. Okay, so I'm first going to accept who I am, then follow through with all of these steps. Okay.
And I think the next key thing that you need is love. Well, I think that's one of the main things, because it can act as a healing point for nurturing. And I just want to say that when I think of nurturing, I kind of think of two or three main people, you can say. One would be a mother, the second would be a gardener, and
The father as well.
yeah. So a mother, just an example of a parent or guardian, of course. The second would be a gardener, and the third would be it could be like an owner or like a coach. You know, if there's a sporting coach who maybe coaches basketball, he really has to nurture these so and so students or these players into
Becoming the best.
players out there. So like a coach. And I think it's important to coach the self, and that's literally what nurturing is. You're being a parent and guardian to the self. Like a gardener, you're seeing the balance of daylight and water, so sunlight and water to the plant that grows. And you're also being like a coach. You're seeing, where are my skills and how I can improve them. You are not focusing on the weakness, because eventually they will all go away, as long as you focus on your strengths. And okay, but when I mean focusing on weakness, it's not like, oh, I know I'm bad at this and feeling bad about it. It's like, I know, okay, this is something might be lacking. What can I do to make it better? In that sense, so making your weaknesses your strengths. So then you won't see strengths at all. And
weaknesses.
So you won't see weaknesses at all, yeah, because you'll be full of strengths. So you don't have to want to see anything, because you already have it. That's what I was trying to say.
So doing all of this is to manifest. It's to bring about a change, okay? And that's what we want to see when we're nurturing ourselves. So I hope
I have
all
a
you
small
guys.
question.
Oh yes, sure.
Yes.
How to turn the mind inward?
Pardon?
How to turn the mind
inside. How to turn it inside? Generally, we look outside. Our eyes are pointing forward. We look outside. How to turn the mind inside? That's the question.
Yeah, I understand this question. Well, to turn the mind inside, you must in fact understand the mind, right? Because what's happening is that the mind is taking this action to go inwards. And it's actually very simple, really, because we understand that the mind can think, right? And that's how it functions. The main function of the mind is to think. And I think first is to just analyze and to be aware of, what thoughts am I having right now? Literally, what thoughts am I having? And so going within means that you're actually seeing these thoughts, and you're kind of filtering. You're filtering these thoughts from ones that you need to the ones that you don't need. And it's literally as simple as that. And in fact, we do this sometimes without even realizing about going inwards. Whenever we're trying to work on something, we're actually going inwards to work on a specific target or a goal. And we're actually analyzing, how can I become better? And in this case, it's how can I block everything else and turn inwards for a second. And in a way, you can say it's detached observer kind of mode, where it's like you're just stepping away from the situation or atmosphere. Even if I'm sitting here, just stepping away for a moment and just going inwards, seeing what I really am creating within. So I hope that kind of that kind of explains your question.
So the best inwards that we can go in is by doing meditation. So we gave a little experience of that at the beginning. And so it's just remembering. So it's first relaxing the body. So I'm completely at peace, and then going inwards and remembering who I truly am. Okay. So we're going to have another little experience, and this is going to be a jam moment. So just a minute. And so we're going to just focus on the voice that you can hear. And we're going to play the meditation now.
Relaxing my mind. Taking just a minute, I sit comfortably relaxed, inviting my senses to relax, meeting them as friends, appreciating the work they do. I now choose to give them a break. I imagine closing the motorways of my senses, My thoughts begin to slow down. My mind becomes clear. For a few moments, nothing is moving. My mind is free, resting. I now return with clarity.
So thank you to everyone tuning in today. And firstly, thank you to Sister Navpreet, I think. Is it Loveneet, sorry, for introducing us really nicely. And thank you to Hyderabad Brahma Kumaris and Shanti Sarovar for inviting us for this Sunday talk.
And I'd like to thank all the audience and all the viewers that are tuning in on Zoom and YouTube. I hope you have enjoyed and experienced a little bit about nurturing yourself and picked up useful tips.
Thank you so much, Brother Rithvik and Sister Rishika. It was
So
amazing.
we can't hear your audio clearly. Loveneet?
Can you hear me now? Okay, so we had an amazing session, and based on all the comments we received, I understand the audience also thoroughly enjoyed this session. We have numerous other questions also coming in, but like brother and sister told us, this is a journey, and you might not get all your answers today. So do join us next Sunday as well. It will be another session, and that session is meditation, adding value to life. I'm sure you would agree, all the participants, the way Sister Rishika and Brother Rithvik told us, how meditation has enriched and nurtured their life. So, why not take a step and start this journey if you have not done till now? So, do join us next Sunday. It would be conducted by Sister Suman from Gyan Sarovar, that is one of the campuses of headquarters of Brahma Kumaris in Mount Abu. So do join us at the same time, same platform. We hope to see you. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Thank you, everyone.
Om
Shanti. Bye.
Shanti.